Hello. Well, it was nice to see in the press a week or so ago the Pope Francis schmoozing in the Jewish community at a Jewish social. That's very good. That's very nice. Great. And officially now the Catholic Church is being ordered not to evangelize to the Jews. Right. Great. Fantastic. But the war still goes on with the opposite side of the church, and that is the non-Catholic side of the church. That will be what you know as Evangelical Christians, and they can be attending all sorts of churches of different denominations that are non-Catholic. Now the question is, how close and how schmoozy should we get with our evangelical neighbours? One thing you have to understand about evangelical Christianity, and that includes Jewish people who believe in Jesus, is that they are on a mission, all of them, to share their faith in Jesus. All evangelical Christians, all people that go to church regularly, right, are wanting to share their faith, and they are being actively encouraged by the churches to do this, and by missionary organisations going into churches and giving talks and about you must, share your faith with your Jewish friend or colleague, don't be afraid, and they always talk about being sensitive to the Jew. Now, when the missionary is talking about being sensitive to the Jew, what they basically mean is be very careful how you go about things. Be very, very careful, and you want to basically build up a friendship and come at things in a roundabout way, in a subtle way. You want to bring in your belief in Jesus as the Messiah at some point, but you want to do it very, very skillfully, very carefully. You must do it in such a way it doesn't cause offence. So it's basically about being savvy and careful, and not to come in full throttle with the Jew, but to come in gently. The Church of England has done research that shows the majority of people that come to Christianity come to this faith through their colleagues at work, through friends at university, school, college, social clubs, social events. This is the way people come to Christianity. And I think it's about these days that you're needing to set boundaries in your relationships with people that you know who are very, very, evangelical. They're going to church, they're active in the church, they're talking about the church this, church that, and they're lovely people, and you get on great because you work with a colleague, somebody at work, social club, somebody, anything, right? And it might be, and it probably is the case, that they haven't actually mentioned Jesus to you. They haven't mentioned their faith, but from all that, what you hear is they are very, very active in the church, and they're very, very committed Christians. And what I'm warning you about is the fact that all Christians like this, and I was one of them, are motivated and feel compelled at some point to share their faith in Jesus, and to try at some point, to sort of get you thinking about Jesus. Jesus could be the Messiah. They will possibly invite you to church activities like socials, like a barn dance, like a barbecue, like a Christmas carol concert. Very, very innocuous things on the face of it, and you might think as a Jew, oh, this is all right, it's just a social event at church. But you have to realise these social events are deliberately put on so that those people attending the church will bring their non-Christian friends, and it's an indirect way of getting people into the church and getting to feel comfortable with Christians in a Christian environment, and to feel, oh, these are nice people. And well, yes, they are nice people, but just because they're nice people, it doesn't mean you give up your faith in Judaism and convert to Christianity. In the same way you have Buddhist friends, you might not become a Buddhist because they're very nice people. You wouldn't think of becoming a Buddhist just on that reason. But this is the way evangelical Christianity works. The unique selling point of trying to convert the Jew at the moment, which they are focusing on, is to emphasize the Jewishness of Jesus. So you can believe in him, he's Jewish, right? The second thing is they are insisting he is the Jewish Messiah. And they've come to this conclusion from the way they read the Hebrew scriptures, right? So if you're like most Jews, you will not know the Hebrew scriptures really that well. You know what you believe. You worship one God. You don't worship idols. You have nothing to do with human sacrifice. You know the festivals. You know Yom Kippur. You keep Pesach. You change the dishes. You know you like the Friday night candles, but you won't probably know all the ins and outs of all the prophecies and Isaiah and Jeremiah and all the rest of it. And you probably not interested, and you kind of think, well, I'll leave that to the rabbis. I'll leave it to the clever clogs at yeshiva. They can, I'm not really interested in that. We Jews have left it and entrusted our rabbis to make decisions concerning our religion about what is legitimate to believe in and what is not. And they've made the decision that the words of Jesus are blasphemous. They are blasphemous, right? They are blasphemous. He's basically saying he's God. Christians do actually worship Jesus, and this includes Jewish people who believe in Jesus. They worship him, just like you go to shul and you praise, you sing your song and you're praising God, They praise Jesus in exactly the same way. So it's very important to realise that whilst most Catholics, most nominal Christians, people that say they're Christians but they don't bother going to church or anything like that, they are no threat to you and to your faith and to you. This is the thing. Where the threat is from these people who are keen to be friends with you and very nice people and will be very kind and helpful to you, but the whole motivation is they're waiting for an opportunity of perhaps you getting cancer, of you suffering a death in the family, something catastrophic where you lose your balance, you're questioning life and this and that, and you're all in a state. And this is where the evangelical Christian is able to come in and share Jesus who gives you peace, Jesus who can do this for you, he can do that for you. But you have to remember, as a Jew, you have access to God 24/7. So if you are in a dilemma and things are getting on top of you, whatever, you can actually call to God and he will help you. God listens all the time. But they're not telling you that. They're saying you have to believe in Jesus. So it's a case of being on your guard and setting the parameters in the friendship. Making it quite clear that you really don't want to be evangelized in any way, and to be very, very careful. You have to remember, for the earnest evangelical Christian, they know you're Jewish. Everything you tell them will be reported back to the church, because if you've got cancer, they will probably have a prayer group for you going or something, and they will be discussing you. And what they're discussing is, how near are you into coming to faith? How open are you to coming to Jesus? Because this is what it's all about. They are wanting to mellow you and get you to reach a point where you start to think, oh, these Christians are lovely, the church is lovely, the barn dance was lovely, and it's the same as Judaism, and Jesus is Jewish, and he probably is the Messiah, and this, that, the other. And suddenly, there you are in a church, raising your hands, and you're worshipping Jesus, which is actually idolatry. And this is what you need to understand, that if you embrace Messianic Judaism, if you embrace Christianity, you are actually worshipping an idol. This is idolatry. They're worshipping a human being, right, who they believe is God. That you also then moving into putting your faith in human sacrifice, the bloodshed of a human being on the cross. You are then taking on board the teachings of St. Paul, which absolutely categorically contradict Torah, where God says about Torah, the laws I'm giving you today are not too difficult for you to do. St. Paul says the absolute opposite. As far as he's concerned, the laws of God are excrement. You can't do it. You can't do it. The laws of God in the as far as St. Paul's are concerned, is a curse. It's a curse. It's not a blessing, it's a curse. And I'm telling you things to just make you realise not to be taken in, and to realise that all that glitters on top is not gold, and there's some very murky things going on underneath, not just in the belief system of Jesus and being in God and idolatry, but everything that completely contradicts what God has said and revealed in Torah. I was a Jewish believer in Jesus for 42 years. I re-examined my faith by going to Jews for Judaism and Outreach Judaism, and after many months I came to the conclusion there was no scriptural basis for my belief in Jesus being the Messiah. And so I renounced Jesus as the Messiah. I no longer believe he is the Messiah, and I'm very ashamed when I suddenly, the penny dropped that this was actually idolatry. And so I would just warn you to just be on your guard, and don't think my Christian friend at work or at uni is different to what I've just told you. In other words, all churchgoers, all evangelical Christians, all those active in the Baptist church, the Methodist church, the evangelical church, the Pentecostal church, the charismatic church, United Reformed Church, ecumenical, all of them, and Messianic Jews are emotionally, it's their life to get people to believe in Jesus. This is their hope and dream, that all their friends, all their colleagues should believe in Jesus, and particularly Jewish people. You are like the icing on the cake, because the church wants more Jewish people to believe in Jesus, because they believe, I don't know, they call them the remnant. They say so many Jewish people have to believe in Jesus. They don't say what the number is, but they are quite fanatical and absolutely determined, and they see it as literally like a mission, that they have a duty to tell you, a Jew, about your Messiah. They believe Jesus actually is the Jewish Messiah, and they feel they must tell you. They've got to tell you, because they think the rabbis are depriving you of this knowledge. They think there's a Jewish conspiracy, when in fact the rabbis have rejected Jesus for being the Messiah. First of all, because he's equating himself with God, saying things like, I am the way, the truth, the life, no one comes to the Father but by me. Just on that sentence alone, he can be rejected as the Messiah. He can be rejected full stop out of Judaism. Judaism has nothing to do with Jesus, just on the basis of one sentence. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. Just on that basis, the rabbis can reject him. Never mind anything else concerning the Messiah and all of that. Just on these statements, and you have to realise this is what Christians and Messianic Jews believe. They believe all these words. They believe everything that's written there in the New Testament. They hang on the words of St. Paul, like you hang on the words of, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. That's what you believe. But the evangelical Christian and the Messianic Jew believes the words of St. Paul with the same degree of fervour. And they also believe the words of Jesus in the same way. So I'm just saying to you, be careful, and set parameters. And if you don't want to talk about it, tell the person directly. Don't be diplomatic, because they are very persistent. And you have to, just say, look, I don't want to talk about it. It's not my religion. I don't want to hear about it. Thank you. I love your company, but please don't talk to me about Jesus.